Welcome to the Deeper Into Movies podcast. My name is Stephen T. Hanley. I'm the founder and lead curator of Deeper Into Movies. We are a pop-up cinema based in London and New York. Today, I'm joined by Chandler Levack, the writer-director of I Like Movies. I Like Movies is about a socially awkward 17-year-old cinephile named Lawrence who takes a part-time job at Sequels Video, which is doubling up for a Blockbuster. He becomes friends with Alana, the manager in the store, and he's trying to raise enough money to go to NYU Film School. I loved this movie so much. It truly captures the video store life when you're an awkward cinephile and your life is just basically movies. Chandler gets it. You can kind of tell when you see a show and it's like, oh, they're just really trying to tap into that physical media video store nostalgia. But no, Chandler is the real deal. She totally gets the love of movies and video stores in that beautiful era. So here is me and Chandler Levack.
Okay.
What was your meeting?
It was for a location scouting for my next film.
Sick. Can you say anything about it?
And then when I was on the meeting, I found out, like, literally on the meeting, like maybe 15 minutes ago, that I got like this very pivotal, like, make or break grant from the Quebec government. So I'm like fully financed for the movie. Like,
amazing.
I got the green light like 15 minutes ago.
Oh, that's so good.
Thank you.
You made it.
And the person was like, wow, you just lost like 5 years, like you de-aged.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, totally.
So what else is new? What have you been doing?
Mostly being stressed out. And I was in New York and LA for screenings of I Like Movies. So that was really fun to get to show it finally to, my friends in those cities. And the new film is takes place in 2011. So I've been doing a lot of research on, American Apparel bodysuits and
American Apparel was fucking great. I'm going to say
yeah.
The clothes are so good, man.
I would kill for it to be back. I want one of those like hoodies, like with the white strings and like the zipper, like so badly. Like it was the best hoodie ever made.
I used to buy the sweatshirts, but I could get the matching sock. so I'd have this really ridiculous matchy thing going on with the maroon sweatshirt with the maroon sock.
That's an iconic look.
Yeah, that was good. And I lost an American Apparel scarf, which I mourn to this day.
No.
I have a photo of me wearing it at a gallery exhibition, and I don't know where it went to afterwards. And I miss that scarf every day. I think it was the best check scarf ever made.
Oh my God, I think I can like see it in my own head right now.
It was like blue, white, and like a navy, red, and a white, but it just slapped. It was so good.
They were perfect.
Yeah.
Aside from the, horrible, like sexual depravity and like
yeah,
vanity of that company, they did make very nice clothes.
Yeah, and he's working with Kanye now, which is
what?
Yeah, he's like consulting with Kanye, and Kanye's always like, Dove is my guy,
But Kanye hates Jewish people.
I know. I think that was a kind of, like, I'm not racist, look at my friends kind of thing. I think it was like, I love Jews, look, I'm with Dove, which is weird.
I interviewed Dove Charty once.
No way.
Yeah, I was writing for like this website called Blog.to, which mostly writes articles about hamburgers. But they were like, go to the American Apparel like warehouse sale and just write like a little like 200 word blurb about it. And I was like, okay, sure. And then I was there And then Dov Charney was there, and I was like, oh, I'm like a journalist, so I'm gonna like get a quote from Dov Charney because like here he is. And then
Yeah.
we started talking, and then he's like, you want to go for lunch with me? I want to eat a steak. And I was like, okay, but like, can I interview you? He's like, I don't give a fuck what you do. So then we went to like the Drake Hotel, and then I spent like an hour like interviewing him like about, you know, the like I was like, is your company collapsing? Like what's going on? And he like gave me this incredible scoop, and I was like literally writing for an article that like only publishes articles about like the best hamburgers in Toronto. But it was like this amazing thing. And but yeah, he's a really fascinating, very complicated person. And that company, you know, that and like the collapse of Vice, like I've really been thinking a lot about, yeah, that sort of late aughts period and what it meant kind of culturally. And
So that's weird. So I keep on finding we have more and more parallels. I used to, when I left film school and was just fucking around working in record stores as my side hustle,
yeah.
I used to write, and obviously it was the era, so I had a blog. And then my blog got picked up by Vice as like one of their favorite blogs, and then I was part of a Vice blogging network, which was the coolest thing to ever happen to a wannabe hipster in the
Of
world.
course.
But they used to fucking pay us in American Apparel vouchers. They'd send me gift cards.
That's crazy.
And stuff. So I always had my American Apparel gift cards and stuff. Hence why I was always buying, rich enough to buy the socks and the matching top and stuff.
That really was I also I wrote a couple articles for Vice. But I definitely spent like my kind of early to mid 20s like exclusively, you know, doing like music journalism. I wrote for Spin and the Village Voice and stuff. But yeah, like getting paid in CDs.
Yeah. I used to really, I had a weird thing where I could get the contacts to speak to the artist, but I was always struggling to find a home for my features or for editors to get back to me. So I used to do this thing like, I'd be like, hey, can I speak to Chloe Sevigny? All right, for Vice, blog. And keep out the blog bit and stuff. And they'd be like, for Vice? Sure. So I'd have all these doors open for me, but then I'd struggle to I'd find the most random homes for all my features and just like shop it around afterwards and then try and get paid. It was the most chaotic way to live and write.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was such an interesting time. Like now it seems so weird, like this kind of peddling your wares, but they're like articles or interviews with people. And it's fascinating how much the industry of journalism has changed in the last 5-10 years.
I don't know how any of my journalism friends sustain a living when it's like X per word or shit like that. And even transcribing is hell. I hate transcribing. I will never do it ever again. It's so horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think it's like always hell to like listen to your voice as you're asking questions. I mean, now you literally like.
I'm doing the part is I've done enough where I'm just like, this is what I sound like, and if I say something really stupid, I'll just cut it. You know, I can just do that. Yeah. But hearing yourself, when I used to have to transcribe and do stuff in slow motion, when I said it at like half speed, when it feels like you're on, you know, heavy painkillers.
Oh my God.
And it's like, so tell me about the new album. It's like, oh my God, it's freaking hellish. Yeah,
it's so brutal when you ask something that you're like, that was so embarrassing what I just asked. It's such a stupid question. Or when you hear those parts where you're actually not being a good listener.
And you're too busy thinking about your next question and stuff.
Yeah. And they've just said something really interesting and you like, it was like an opening and you didn't, because you weren't listening well, you missed the mark. And yeah,
that's why I think Mark Maron's incredible at being attentive, but he can wing it with no notes for an hour. And organically
be like, I haven't even really watched this, but like, you're a guy, right? That's great.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. He manages to wing in a total hour interview. I think I tried that once and it was so fucking messy. And then you have that moment where you're think of something, and then just spiraling into like the black abyss and your brain can't pull out any fucking question.
Yeah, I was talking to our mutual friend Emma Seligman the other day about kind of like like when I was a journalist, kind of those like journalist tricks of like somebody says something and then you just like repeat the question to them or like
Yeah.
or letting like a long pause linger so the person feels like obligated to kind of fill up
Fill
the
in the
space.
gap. Oh my god. People have done that to me so many times. That's when I fuck up. You need a certain confidence just to drop the question, let them think of a response, and not just word garbage vomit on top of it.
Yeah. Or I notice my tick is I always go, really? And like like someone's like, yeah, so like, you know, then I made this movie. I'm like, really?
So if we go all the way back, what kind of teenager were you? What were you watching, listening to, reading, and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's pretty fully chronicled in I Like Movies, the depths of my obsession. Yeah, I mean, I was really obsessed with the SNL. Music wise, what did I love? I mean, the Strokes were like my whole identity when I was 15. I feel like that was the first I loved like the Magnolia soundtrack and Amy Mann and Radiohead. Like Kid A was like a huge album for me. Uh the Sea and Cake. I loved that
Yeah.
band. What else? Oh, the Deers. I loved so much, you know, the You Forgotten People, like the first Broken Social Scene record.
Obsessed with Broken Social Scene.
Yeah.
I would go to every single concert without fail.
Really?
Yeah, every London gig, and I randomly went with my friend to see them in Leeds. And yeah, I was a stan. It was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, there was a time in Toronto where like you couldn't literally go into like any cafe or any space and it was just like either Broken Social Scene was playing or like Vice or Star, like any Canadian offshoot of that.
Yeah, any arts and
And
crafts band.
yeah,
Yeah.
they were just like the whole epicenter of like the world.
I remember a couple of years back when Kevin Drew was doing these weird videos and short films, and I messaged him saying maybe we could try and do a screening or something when your album comes out, and he was like, "What's your number?"
Wow.
And I just gave my number, and then he just called me, and he was like, just so classic Kevin Drew, like, yeah, I'm just driving back from my girlfriend's. I think I'm speeding right now. Oh, just saw a cop car. And just talking about what he's been doing. And I remember he was saying to me, "You're from London." I said, "What?" And he's like, "What part?" And I was like, "Well, I'm kind of near Wembley Stadium." And he was like, "Me and my dad went to see Rod Stewart in Wembley Stadium in the 80s." And I was like, "I think my mum was at that show." And he was like, "Stephen, your mum was definitely at that fucking show."
That's awesome. One time I wrote an article for Maisonneuve, and it was this like issue called The Music We Hate. And it was like different music journalists talking about like their least favorite band or a band they thought was like overrated or something. So I picked Broken Social Scene and I just talked about like, you know, kind of like sort of like their evolution to like, I think their third or fourth album and how it was getting kind of like too messy. And I think I said like the kitchen would burn down from all those cooks. And then Kevin Drew like cornered me at like a Polaris Prize thing with his dad and was like, my dad read your article and he's really upset with you. And I was like, wow, and I couldn't tell if it was like a bit or if he meant it sincerely. And it was just very awkward.
That's so strange.
Yeah.
To weaponize his dad as well. That's so, what the
I
fuck?
know. I would never do that with like if somebody like a critic
That's
was
crazy.
Like snarky about. Yeah, it was pretty nuts.
And movies?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I feel like again, it's like Punch Drunk Love is like a huge, huge movie for me. Rushmore, The Royal Tenenbaums, Ghost World. You know, I've been thinking about this a lot lately about how like American Beauty was kind of like my gateway into cinema.
I watched that the other day. It's still
Yeah.
It's still a pretty fucking crazy movie.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean,
but when you're like, I mean, I don't remember how old I was in 1999. That's when it came out, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I was like 13. But I was like, for me, it just like I was like, wow, a plastic bag flying in the wind is the most
Of
beautiful thing
course, I
I've
was
ever seen.
obsessed about it. I was like, wow, beauty is everywhere.
I was like, the suburbs are oppressive. Like,
When I saw that movie, I remember I bought a giant slush puppy. Do you have slush puppy?
yeah.
And yeah, and I was like chugging it through the movie because I got like the giant one because it was like a pound in the difference. So it was this like ridiculous like 2 pints of slush puppy kind of cup. And I was kind of done and I was kind of sucking it really hard to get all the juice out. You know, because then it's just pretty much just like plain ice otherwise.
Mm.
And then I stuck my straw in even further and I just took this like massive chug. And all the juice and ice that had been at the bottom of a cup just shot up into my brain. And I had the worst brain freeze for like 30 minutes of a movie. I thought I was having an aneurysm.
Whoa.
And it kind of hit when, you know, when she's cheerleading and all the
rose petals?
Rose, and I was like, ugh. It's my lasting memory of the movie. I can't stress how hard this brain freeze was. And my friend's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know. Has anyone got ibuprofen? I'm like having a stroke.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that's my lasting memory of that movie.
Mina Savari's like exposed breasts were just too powerful.
Too powerful. I didn't know even if it was a brain freeze. It was just a teenage boy aneurysm going on. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Mubi. Mubi is a creator streaming platform bringing you the best in cinema. I've been a Mubi subscriber for years, and I'm going to go through the Mubi UK platform and give you 3 of my recommendations. Okay, I'm looking. Okay, number 1, The Dreamers. I love this movie. I'm obsessed with this movie. I watch it almost every year. 3 young, hot people living together in Paris during the French New Wave. It's a weird love triangle. And they spend their days making out and going to the movies. It's just beautiful and dark and perfect. Okay, number 2 is Shakedown, which is a documentary from 2018, which is about an underground lesbian club where they throw parties, go-go dancing, strippers, and stuff. And this is a great portrait of the LA queer scene. And amazingly, it premiered on both Pornhub and Criterion Channel on the same day. And now it's on Mubi. That's the best advert I can give for this documentary. Last one, Blue is the Warmest Color. I loved this movie when I first saw it. I saw it in the cinema. I've never seen it since. I know it's 3 hours and it's quite emotionally draining. This launched Leia Seydoux and Adele Exarchopoulos. And I remember this being great. Why haven't I gone back to it? Okay, I'm doing that next. There we go. Those are my 3 recommendations. And you can watch all of these movies and more for free. Just go to Mubi.com/deeper into movies for 30 days of Mubi for free. Mubi.com/deeper into movies. I'm guessing you went to film school?
I went to University of Toronto. I did cinema studies. Sometimes I have like a low mumbly voice. So people were like, "What? You majored in cinnamon studies?" I didn't know that was a thing. Um, but yeah, I did film school, but it was like very theoretical. Like I never saw a camera. So, I took like classes. I took one class where we watched like all the films of Godard and all the films of Anthony Mann, which I really loved. Uh but yeah, I think my education was so like theoretical, it kind of really intimidated me. So, and I never saw myself kind of being a filmmaker. Even though I loved making movies in high school, but they were truly like worse than the Rejects Night video at the beginning of my like just like weird like stop motion animation set to like the Jackie Brown soundtrack.
You've got to go
Like,
through that shit. I'm telling you, everyone's got to
yeah.
make deeply
Oh,
kind of almost parody level
yeah.
stuff. Like the amount of time I spent trying to do Scorsese one takes and like Tarantino style shit. It was just so embarrassing, but
Yeah.
you got to go through it.
Yeah.
Or when it starts looking slightly like something
Super cringe.
that, that you're trying to replicate. I spent one day with my friends trying to recreate the. Have you seen the shot in La Haine where they're on top of the building? And I still can't work it out. It feels like a push in and then a focus pull or something. So it looks like it pulls in.
Like a snap.
It looks like it zooms in twice. That's the best I can explain it.
Oh,
They kind
wow.
of move in and then it's almost like it pulls into focus even further. And I was like, this is
Cool.
definitely a focus puller plus track shot here. And we spent, I made them do it like 50 times with a camcorder, just using my
Wow.
digital zoom in, and it looked nothing like it. But I was like, go again, and just keep on doing it and doing it and doing it.
That's fascinating. I don't know if I've ever seen Lion actually, but I do think I loved the cinema studies program at U of T and at Innis, and I think it exposed me to like so much stuff that I'm like so grateful for, like so many ways of thinking about film, so much different movies in the canon. Like I feel like I've watched so many movies that inform me. Like even if I didn't like them, it was like great to watch like Meshes of the Afternoon, and like every class was like somehow watching like Metropolis or something, and it's just like it was really great.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever watched as many, or it's like fucking 10 a.m. Okay, here we go.
You're like En Chien Andalou or like Sallow, let's
Yeah,
go.
it was so great. Just come in fucking hungover, and it's like, all right, we're gonna watch like a 3-hour Merchant Ivory movie, and it's like, okay,
Yes. I was in this group called Sinzu, which was like the Cinema Students Union, but we got to program free movies on 35 millimeter every
No
Friday,
way.
and we could like show it with like just like student union money.
Yeah.
And we're all like obsessed with movies and like really close friends, and like all my friends that I did that with are now still working in film. Like my friend Peter Kaplowski, he's a Midnight Madness programmer at TIFF. My friend Wilson Cameron just produced and shot a movie, Good One, that is playing at Cannes this year. Like my friend Milda Yu is like a program or works at Lionsgate, So it's like it's kind of amazing that we're all still, making movies and in the industry, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't have like a after hours film club. I think it's too many fucking bros just shouting down like, you know what we should program? Yeah, I don't think we'd ever be able to land on a movie. I think I said I liked the Jennifer Lopez movie The Cell, and then that was it. It's like Steven has no voice. It's just like, I tanked it with that one, and I was too shy to speak up and defend myself. But maybe I think this is my revenge story, just programming movies.
Yeah, that was your Joker origin.
It literally was, because funnily, I could not get a job in a video store. I fucking tried so many times at Blockbuster, and I would never get a job. I don't know what happened. 10 times, but yeah, I couldn't get a job. I'd frequent them every day.
Yeah.
But could not get a job. It was so sad.
Well, if you have any questions.
Yeah,
I worked there.
How long were you there? What was your store called?
It was the Brand Street location. It was Blockbuster. So it was kind of like close to like downtown Burlington. So I guess it was the coolest one in Burlington, Ontario. But yeah, I worked there, I think grade 11 and grade 12. And then I think I worked there a little bit, like over the Christmas break from when I came back from university. And then that was it. That was my time is done.
What kind of friends, what kind of people were you working with? Because I found the one in London, the one near me, they weren't film nerds. And it's the same when I worked in the fucking record stores and stuff. There was people there who didn't know who like Bob Dylan or Pink Floyd were when people came in, and I was like,
whoa.
And the customers would get really pissed. And like, it's like, I'm not even asking for anything obscure here. Like, how do you not know Pink Floyd?
Yeah.
Or they'd go to F in the section like Floyd is his surname and stuff. And I was like, oh, bro, stop. This is really bad. We look really dumb right now.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the people that worked at the store were just people who like were good at selling things.
Yeah.
Like as a like they were good at customer service instead of like cinema as like the formation of my whole life. And I feel like even I was the person in the store where people would be like, "Oh, we'll talk to Chandler. She knows what that movie is."
Yeah.
But I wasn't good at selling things or having like a nice personality. So
I was like, upsell?
Well, I did have a nice. Yeah, I had this shift. They always would put me on it because I was kind of like social and like it was like Friday nights from 5 to 10 p.m. and your job was literally like you had to walk around the store for 5 hours. It's called active seller. And all you did was like any person who was on that was there, you'd have to go up to them and be like, "Hi, can I help you find it?"
I had to do that.
Like, but then you also had to mention all the deals and promotions.
Oh.
And be like, "You should get a membership card. And if you like get a membership card, I can sell you like 3 extra free popcorns today. And if you rent every 10 rentals, you'll get a free one." Like, and there were all these like little coupons. I had to like, it was really embarrassing. I had like little coupon books and I would try to like make people buy the coupon books. And like, there was always some movie, like just like with Lawrence with the Shrek sash, like that literally happened to me where I had to wear a sash that said Spider-Man 2 available now on DVD. And people would come into the store that were like people from my high school, like hot popular people on a date, like just picking a movie, and I'd be like in my fucking sash with my little
God.
being like, "Oh hey guys, what's up, are you guys members?" Like it was really really embarrassing. And then every so often, like once every like maybe 4 shifts, there'd be like one person that would like lend an ear to like let me talk about how much I loved like Koyan Squatsi or something.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "Thank you for indulging me. Like, this is the best moment of my life."
Yeah, I had about 3 or 4 customers who'd come in buying cool shit. For the first few years I was there, first 2 years, it was like Empire Records.
Yeah.
And we just play whatever the fuck we want. They had this whole thing where the downstairs was DVDs and the upstairs was music. So they put me on the music floor. And then they switched and the upstairs was the DVD floor. So I had kind of 1 year of both, and it was amazing.
That's cool.
And I could build my own displays and just put these weird fucking shit where I just put all Michael Haneke titles out just to be really obnoxious. And then we got new management. She was just like, "I'm about hard selling. I'm about figures."
Yeah.
All this crazy shit. Like people had to take piercings out. They were like, wear long sleeves if you got tattoos. It was this whole crazy corporate madness. And then they were like, and start pushing popcorn and snacks and stuff. So we'd have this shit where people would come in buying like these 2 Steve Reich CDs. And I'd be like, "Do you want popcorn and M&Ms with that?" And then I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And I was like, "We have a sale on a pop or Snickers. We got a lot of Snickers." And I'm like, "No, I just want my CD." And I'm like, "All right." And when did you decide that your experiences in the video store could become a movie?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get this other movie off the ground, which I am now going to shoot this summer. Oh my God. I wrote that script in like first in 2015. It was like the second screenplay I'd ever written. And then I really wanted to shoot it, in 2018, and we're getting like close, but then it was like this kind of thing where like because everything's funded here by the Canadian government, they were like, we'll give you 300,000 if you can already tell us that you have the other 700,000. And, I couldn't get any like actors to read it. And I was just getting really frustrated. I was like, oh man, I'll be like waiting my entire life to ask for permission to make this movie. And like, I really, really just want to make a film. And, I remember like, I was like watching like behind the scenes footage of like Greta Gerwig shooting Lady Bird, and it would always make me like start weeping, and I was like, I've said this a lot, but it kind of felt like my biological clock was like ticking, but to make a movie, like the same way that I think people really urgently want to have a kid, I was like, I really want to give birth to like a coming of age movie, like that's my purpose in life. And so, my producer, Matt Miller, who works on all those Zapruder films like Blackberry, he was like, have you considered this micro budget program Talent to Watch, which is this, $125,000 at the time that you could get in Canada for your first feature. And I was like, okay, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to think of an idea that I could execute for that level of money. And at the time, the only actor that I knew that I was like, if I wrote a script, they would at least read it. Like, there's no guarantee that they're going to do it, but at least it's like a script that an actor would actually read, was Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. Cause I had directed him in a music video when he was 9, and we'd kind of like weirdly stayed in touch. So I was like, okay, 16-year-old boy, $125,000. Like, what's an idea? And I remember when I went to this, I studied screenwriting after university at the Canadian Film Center, which was like Norman Jewison's film school. It's kind of like our version of AFI. And we had this producer come in, and she's like, the way I think of movies is I just think of an actor and a noun, like Halle Berry, shoes, Daniel Radcliffe, Scrabble. Like, that's how you like package a film. You just think of an actor and a noun.
That's crazy.
At the time, I was like, this is the stupidest woman I've ever heard in my life. Is this how movies are made? You just think of an actor and a noun, like Chris Pine, crystal meth. But then I was like, okay, Finn Wolfhard, well, I don't know, videotapes. Like, it made me start thinking about like my last year of high school when I worked at Blockbuster. And I was like, okay, I would watch a movie where like Finn was like, like a 16-year-old cinema obsessive, like in a video store. And I was like, and maybe that's like a really nice backdrop for a movie. Like, it made me start to think a lot about my kind of the sort of combination of like loneliness, but also entitlement that I felt in my last year of high school working at Blockbuster, where I'm like, this isn't my real life. Like, my real life is about to begin next year when I go to university. And like, but also like the kind of obsessive relationship that I felt to popular culture, and how I felt like all these like music and movies were like kind of turning me into the person that I wanted to be, but I couldn't actually be that person yet. And how they were like feeding me creatively and idealistically, but I also just felt like so lonely all the time. And like was also kind of alienating my friends and family kind of just by having such a passionate relationship to movies. And I don't know, it was kind of a snob and insufferable. So I was like, oh, this is a good concept for a movie. And so I wrote this script, and I don't know, the character of Lawrence just kind of came to me, which, is probably also not a very likable role for Finn to play. And so I guess that was kind of like the genesis of how I thought of the idea.
That's something you captured so well that really resonated with me, is how serious you were about movies.
Yes.
Like checking stuff out when they're about to close. And people are like, dude, it's fucking 9 p.m. You're not going to watch this tonight. And I'm like, I am.
Yes.
I really am. I need it.
The amount of times that my mom was like, why do you have so many movies in your hand? You're not going to watch them all. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm going to watch them all as soon as we get in the house.
Yeah. And I even was a member of various other video stores because they stock different shit. And if I needed to go for some real weird, deep back catalog stuff, it was good to have a few other stores available.
Yeah. I was like, my mom's like, why are you renting Babette's Feast? I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, the big Blockbuster near me was cool, But then weirdly, the small Blockbuster in Willesden, the other one near me, had mole rats when nobody else had mole rats.
Wow.
And I was like, I need to fucking sign up to you as well. Like, no, I don't know why the big one doesn't have it and the small one does. And the guy behind the counter is like, I really don't know and I really don't care. And I'm like, membership form now.
One time, the Blockbuster I was working at, like these sort of bad teens came in and they stole a bunch of stuff. They kind of did this like run and grab thing where like 15 guys came in and like grabbed a bunch of like Xbox games and box sets and stuff. And I had this like really hardcore manager who was like obsessed with her job. And she was like 8 months pregnant, like really, really, really pregnant. And she chased after them and she fell. And it was like really, and I was the only other person working in the store. And I like saw it, it was there when it happened. And she fell. And I was like, this is the worst moment of my life. Like this woman literally like risked her baby to like protect the integrity of this Blockbuster. And because I was like, I don't know, who knows what I was doing, probably just like depressed, like stacking copies of like triple X in the back. Like I did nothing. And then the police came and I had to give a statement and it was like so dramatic. And she's like, why didn't you do anything? We lost 50 copies of GoldenEye. And it was just, yeah, it was a bad moment.
How did you find your store?
Well, yeah, it's an interesting story. Like, it was really hard. Like we shot the film during the middle of the pandemic, in Ontario. And, you know, I really, in my head, like I really wanted like a big store that like faced a giant parking lot, you know, that, you know, I just like needed it to feel like the store that I worked in. And we're having not a lot of luck at all because well, you know, it's like a micro budget, so we didn't have a lot of money. And I guess I thought maybe because it was the pandemic, like a lot of those like corporate retail spaces would be closed or empty. A lot of stuff was closing down then, but we just couldn't find anything within our budget range. And like the only things available were like these like 500 square foot convenience stores. And it was like, that's not the vibe. Like it has to be, it's not like a mom and pop convenience store rental thing. It's like, you know, but real life Blockbusters were huge. Like they were giant. Um, so, so someone told me about this abandoned Blockbuster that had been sitting vacant in Northern Ontario for like 10 years. And I was like, what? There's like an actual empty Blockbuster? And they're like, yeah, but it's in like Owen Sound, Ontario, which is like a 2.5 hour drive from Toronto. So, I looked like on Google Maps and I saw there was like a pet store like in the same plaza. So I was like, okay, I'm going to call the pet store and I'm going to see if they'll give me the name of their property manager. Maybe it's the same one. And then it turned out it was. So then that guy was like, oh, interesting. Like that, I don't even know. No one's been in that Blockbuster in 10 years, but like we can't sell it because it's like too big and nobody wants like a location that big. But I have no idea what's going on with it. I'm like, okay, well, do you want to meet me there? And he's like, okay, sure. So then me and my producer Lindsay, and my friend Aaron, we all drove there. And then when he opened up the store, it was like a completely insane like time capsule. Like all the shelves were still there, and the TVs and the computers and the front counter and like even the little cart. And it was like but the store was also like crumbling and like leaking asbestos, and the ceiling was caving in, and like the carpet was like green. And I think teenagers used it to like have sex in and party. And there had been like, you know, I think like maybe some unhoused people like had been living there and stuff. So it was kind of like, it was great, but it was also like very terrifying. So then Lindsay was like, we can't shoot there. Like we can't move our production over to Owen Sound, and we can't afford to like fix up this Blockbuster either. So she was like, we'll have to see if you can convince this guy to like let you take everything from the store. And then we'll try to find a location that we can sort of build a Blockbuster set in. So then we found the place I was like, okay, why don't we just try to call every place that used to be a Blockbuster? And maybe they'll be empty again. And they'll have the bones and like the soul of the Blockbuster. Like at least a Blockbuster was once here.
Yeah.
So we know that we could build a Blockbuster there because a Blockbuster lived there once at one point in time. So then I like looked on Yelp, and like all the old addresses were still there. So then I just made this like insane like serial killer kind of list of like every Blockbuster sort of in the shooting area that might be there. And then me and my other producer, Evan Dubinsky, just started calling. I don't know what we did. Did we call? I guess the numbers wouldn't be active. I think we looked on Google Maps of like what those places were now. And then I kind of hoped that like lightning would strike twice, and then the place that was a Blockbuster would then be empty again. And so, and then I think by the third or fourth time we got lucky.
That's fucking crazy.
And it was an empty thrift store. Now, so so then we installed like our stolen Blockbuster property into this empty thrift store that was once a Blockbuster, and then that's how it all happened.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's very nuts.
Did I tell you we found a abandoned mom and pop video store 10 minutes from my house?
What?
Yeah, there was this video store that was 10 minutes from me, and when I'm walking my dog, everyone would be like, that should be your office. And I'm like, I know.
Oh my God.
And then one day I was walking past, the shutters were down, but I could see a Romeo Must Die poster.
Yeah.
And I'd kind of try and look in, but it was also fogged up with grime and dirt. I couldn't see anything. And then one day I went past and I was like, I can fucking see in. And I was like, there's videos in there. And then I was like, right, we need to fucking break the fuck into this place. And my friend who's, I shouldn't say his name, he's an editor of a big magazine, but his hobby, he's into real like hauntology and unused spaces. And he was like, I break into shit all the time just to explore and look around. He's like, if you want to do it, we should do it. And I'm like,
That's
yeah,
so cool.
but I'm kind of too old to be arrested right now. So, and then anyway, a few days later, there was this for rent sign up. So I rang with this bullshit story like, hey, I'm a small business person looking for some more spaces and I might want to rent this place. And I was like, by the way, there's a video store in here. Who owns the video store? Can I take the stuff from the video store? And he was like, well, do you see the store next to the video store? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, they own it. So I came in and just said, look, because I'm sure like you, they're probably like, what do you want video store stuff for? And I was just like, I'm doing a video project and I want the stuff. And he was like, I'll open up the shutters. You can come in for a day, take whatever the hell you want because we're gutting it anyway. And so we went in, we took about 300 videos. We took all the posters. We took all the for rent signs and stuff. It was only 10 minutes to my house. So we got an Uber and loaded all the stuff in. But the first Uber driver, we had the old foam wall displays where the videos sat into. And he was like, they're dusty as fuck. They're not coming in to my Uber. So we're like, fine. And then we took all these down. But the wall displays, I should have fucking taken. They're so hard to get now.
Yeah.
We're doing an installation of all the videos on display. We can't get wall displays. And even geeks are saying that they've tried to remake them, but they crack. And the molds are so expensive to make. And they have the kind of Blockbuster, you know, the kind of little pyramid looking ones where all the on the wheels, they had those ones. And I was like, I didn't at the time have the vision for this whole, I didn't realize we were going to release the video zine that we just put out and tying it all together with your movie. But I was like, if I knew then, I would have just got some budget and just got a storage space and filled it up with all the shelving units and the kind of bookcases style things on wheels and all that shit. I should have taken more.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think if we had tried to like recreate that, like that would have been like the whole budget of the movie, like those wire shelves.
We had those, they were on the ones and the plastic ones.
Specific.
Yeah.
We ended up taking them to like a scrap metal yard to try and get budget back for our movie.
Yeah, I should have rented the truck for the day and just kept on. But similar to you, I'll say we filmed it all and we've got an 11-minute documentary about the experience. But the dust and the shit we were breathing in was not good. It was so fucked up.
Yeah.
I remember there was a copy of The Crush with Alicia Silverstone I really wanted, but it just had some like plague dust. Minute I put up the tape, I was like, like I don't need it that badly. I'll get the re-release on Blu-ray. That was completely that was a cursed VHS. Boom. That was me and Chandler talking. Seek out I Like Movies. I urge you to. Okay, that's it from me. Thank you again for listening. Thank you, Joshua Eustace, aka Telephone Tel Aviv, for our beautiful music. And as I always say, if you enjoy the pod, please like and subscribe. It really helps with our audience listening figures. And the bigger the pod gets, the bigger the guests get. And just keep it going. Thank you, and we'll speak soon.